what happens? Person immerses in the mikveh, a person comes out from the mikveh. But it's not as simple as that. It's a spiritual renewal and a spiritual rebirth.
Amidst the soulful silence is the foundation upon which Jewish family life is anchored. A moment of vision and reflection, a moment to chart the dreams of our personal and collective future.
Mikvah in general is a very personal mitzvah for women. It's one of the 3 mitzvah that were entrusted to women and to women alone.
As women, it speaks to the spiritual part of ourselves, this notion that we have a privilege that every month we can come and be reborn. It's like a brand new beginning. Whatever was in the month before, that was in the month before.
Kedusha, sanctity, and family, and human relationships all flow from that source of life, which is the mikveh.
The mikveh offers us a remarkable gift of purity and holiness. I cannot think of any other religious establishment, structure, or ritual that affects a Jewish family in this way, and indeed on such an essential spiritual level.
The legend of the Hamilton Mikvah is a true legend, that is growing and inspiring Jews throughout the world.
I was in New York, and the Suval Karov, the great saint and sage, I approached and told him that I live in Hamilton and we have no mikveh in the community. He says, well, go back and build a mikveh. So I said, but I have no money. He says, don't worry, go back and there'll be money for you.
Rabbi Green had a phone call from a man, Harry Siegel, who said that he had a dream and that he has money for him to build a mikveh, which came out of the blue. I mean, that was almost a miracle.
He sat on the steps of the synagogue on Cannon Street, and as soon as I arrived for mincha service, he says, after the service, I want you to come home with me. So I went home with him. He said to me, I had a dream, and a Jew with a long white beard came to me and said, if I want to live, I have to give you money. So he went into a cabinet and took out a garbage bag and started counting ones and twos. And he counted $4,000. So I said, I can't take it, because I was afraid. Here he had a beautiful dream, but next night he can have a nightmare that I try to take his money away from him. I said, I have to have witnesses. So I ran to York Street and I picked up Harold Bornstein and called Max Hoffman. I said, you must come. And they both came, and we counted $4,000. We put into the bank, designated for a mikveh. Well, it was hard to build a mikveh for $4,000. Fine. A few months later, I was in New York. I went to see the Suval Karov. He was one of the Roshei Yeshiva at Yeshiva University. I told him the story. I said, but I can't build with 4. He says, go back, there'll be money for you again. Now, when I think of it, it's like you shudder when you think of those stories. I came back, same scenario. There he is sitting on the steps of the shul, and he says, come back to the house. He says, I had another dream, and I have to give you more money. I said, can't take the money. I need witnesses. I got the 2 witnesses again. I came, and we counted $15,000. With the $19,000, we built the mikveh.
I remember arriving at Yeshiva University at the age of 20, walking into the main study hall, the Beis HaMedrash. And when I walked into the room, it was a long, narrow room, and right in the front of the room was Rabbi Lifshitz standing. And I walked over to him, and I was very intimidated, but I knew that he knew my father. And I walked over to him, and I said, Rabbi Lifshitz, I think you know my father. So he said, who is your father? I said, Rabbi Green from Hamilton. And he turned to me and he said, Rabbi Green from Hamilton. I helped him build a mikveh once. I was in Israel a few months ago, and I went to visit my brother-in-law, and he works at a yeshiva. And as I walked through their main study hall, that one of the people who I was being introduced to heard the words Hamilton, Ontario, and from the background, this man shot up from his chair and said, Hamilton, Ontario, do you know the famous mikveh story? And I said, yes, I do. He goes, can you tell me the Hamilton mikveh story? I want to hear firsthand from a man from Hamilton. I went on to tell the story, and as I told the story, the crowd grew and grew and grew.
When I first heard the story about Mr. Siegel here in Hamilton, I was so impressed that one individual can make such an impact on so many generations. I mean, the mikveh affected the generation that came before me. It's affecting my generation, and it'll affect like so many generations to come. So it really got me thinking and inspired me. If one man can make such an impact, what could I do?
Moments of change don't happen over long periods of time. Moments of change happen in a split second. There is a reason why the mikveh has sustained the Jewish nation for these thousands of years.
This evening, we not only celebrate the dreams and aspirations of an ancient people, but more fundamentally, the visions and dreams of a community, our community.